everyone, welcome back to another episode of Scholar ChitChat. I'm your host for today, Joanne, and I'm joined with Ojay.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Okay.
We're glad to have you. And yes, so today we'll be talking about what next after the acceptance letter. And as the recipient of 2 scholarships, I brought Ojay, or 3 I think. I brought Ojay to discuss because I believe she'll be the best guest for this particular episode. So thank you very much, Ojay, for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, so I don't think she needs any introduction, but for anyone joining us for the first time, this is Scholar ChitChat, and here we're committed to bringing you relevant information to help your study abroad dreams. And to our returning listeners, we're glad to have you back. Welcome. Yeah, so for our new listeners, Ojay would just like introduce herself. They can kind of have a bit of a background about who she is, so you relate to her better.
Okay, if you're new here, hi. So Ojay Ojonugwa in school. I'm currently studying for a doctorate degree at the University of Edinburgh on a scholarship, on a Wellcome Trust Scholarship. Prior to this time, I was Commonwealth Shared Scholar for my master's. I completed that from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and Royal Veterinary College. It was a joint degree delivered by both of them. And then I did my undergrad in microbiology from the University of Edinburgh, and there I was also on a scholarship. I was on the NMPC Total Scholarship. So passionate and interested in education, which is why Scholar ChitChat is alive, I guess, an avenue to reach more people and share the benefits of education while also showing the way to secure funding to make everybody's educational dreams come true. So that's kind of a brief introduction of myself.
Thank you very much, Ojay, for giving birth to Scholar ChitChat and for indulging me in this episode. To start off, how was the feeling of getting an acceptance letter? So we'll start with Commonwealth first, and then for your PhD also. How was the feeling? I know the first time would be surreal, but then the second time would be like, okay, I don't know. I'll just let you do the talking.
You rightly said surreal. Both times, actually, because none of them came easy. So there were rejections before either of them. So at the point where I got congratulations, it was, for lack of a word, surreal. So it was first unbelievable, then it was then exciting, right? Because it was essentially living the dream or answered prayers. Because as I said, I'd already had a series of rejections. For both times, I'd applied 1 year, like 1 application cycle, and not gotten. So both for my master's and both for my PhD, I did 1 application cycle of applications, did not get in. And 1 application cycle, I do at least maybe 5, could even be more, right? But let's say at least 5 applications, and then none of them actually went through. And I think the second time going for the doctorate was actually more heartbreaking because I'd gone through this process before. I know how to write essays, right? I'm like, so what is the hold up? And then the second time around, I remember vividly the whole experience of the final scholarship I got, which is the Wellcome Trust one I got. It was the last interview I had because I interviewed for it quite late in the year. I've already interviewed for that doctoral thing. So maybe it was that I got better with practice. Sometimes I tell myself maybe I got better after I practiced with the other interviews, because you have to interview for a doctor to get for a PhD. So it's like, okay, maybe I've interviewed well. I've already done practice for the other ones because there were 2 I was on the result list. So I'd heard the feedback of 1 already before. I had the feedback of 1 that I really wanted, and I was on result list. So this one was like my last shot. If I was not accepted for this one, then that was it. I would have had to wait for another application cycle. I most likely interviewed for it on maybe like Thursday, Friday, and I got my acceptance on Sunday evening. I remember, because it was very weird to receive an acceptance email on Sunday evening. But well, here I am. So it was definitely a journey.
I can only imagine. For the Commonwealth, I believe you were in Nigeria when you got the acceptance letter. How about for your PhD?
I was in Nigeria for my PhD. I was incidentally already in Edinburgh. I was in Edinburgh because I had a sibling who was working in Edinburgh at the time. So I'd come to visit and stay for a while because I'd finished my master's and I was working a remote job. So I'd come to stay with him for a while because to save money or rent. But anyway, and then I had my interview coming up and I interviewed and then I got the position and I was like, oh, it means I don't have to go anywhere. Edinburgh, I'm going to be in Edinburgh because as I said, it was late already. So I probably interviewed in like April. I think it was April, which which is already quite late. And then I was supposed to start in October. Yeah, October 1. So I interviewed in April and then October. So I was like, there's no point in me, because I was going to start job hunting to see where I would go.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no point in me trying to change jobs or change location, because Edinburgh was going to be home for the next 4 years at least.
That's lovely. Okay, so since you were in Nigeria when you got your Commonwealth acceptance letter, I think we'll focus more on Commonwealth 1. So after getting Commonwealth acceptance letter, what was the next step for you?
So actually, it's going to be interesting. But the next step for me was that I found people in my position, I would say. I looked for other scholars, because Commonwealth Scholarship is one that you have a lot of people. I think in my year there were probably more than 100, maybe close to 200 even from Nigeria only. Because per year there's like, I think maybe up to, I can't remember, very close to 1,000, I want to believe, because from all the Commonwealth countries, right? Scholars every year. But for me, I just looked for Nigerian scholars, and thankfully it wasn't difficult, because during application I was on a lot of groups for applicants, and so when people started getting acceptance letters, people were quickly putting out links for, if you are accepted for this one scholarship, join this group. So I was able to find my tribe. That was good. Because there together we're able to navigate the next couple of steps that we had to complete before relocating. So I would urge everybody, if you get an acceptance, that's something you should be on the lookout for. Even during my PhD, I would say I was in the UK, but the same thing happened. So my PhD program, hundreds of people apply. So I know it's not up to 200, but they only picked 6 people. 6 people are accepted into the program. So once we were accepted, right, they shared our emails. We exchanged emails. So we exchanged emails at a point we added to a group as well. Closer to the start day, we added to a group, because I still had to apply for visa. So let me go back. So I still had to apply. There's still procedures I still had to do. So all together. So I think it's just very important that you are in touch with applicants. That's one. Number 2, with fellow, I won't say applicants, sorry, fellow beneficiaries or fellow awardees like yourself. That's one. Number 2, don't be hesitant to be in touch with admin as well. So one thing is that you would always get the contact details to the administrator or have the scholarship of the university. Keep it handy, and if you have any question, anything comes up whatsoever, email. So I'm going to share from my own point how that works. So once we, as I said, had established contact with fellow awardees, and the next thing, a couple of things I had to do was, in fact, the very important thing to do was apply for visa, which is your right to enter and remain in the country. I think for almost every country. In fact, it doesn't matter what citizen of any country you are. If you're going to stay in the country for a year plus, you almost always have to apply for a visa. So for the UK, what I'm going to say now is most likely specific to the UK, right? So every country has their own process. It's very, very important to read, research, and as you are doing it with a group of people, it's going to be quite difficult for you to get lost. So that's the benefit or the beauty of at least being in a group, right? So for the UK, the first thing to do was to get a TB test. So we had to do that. We had to pay. So one very important thing as well when you get money is that when you get your scholarships, I start thinking about like finances, because you need finances to sort a couple of things. So for the UK, for instance, you need to pay the visa fee. You need to pay for, like I just mentioned, TB test. That wasn't free. You have to pay for TB test. Then obviously, if you have sorted those, you need to travel, so you need to pay for flights, right? So those are some things. But as a Commonwealth scholar, we were privileged in the sense that we didn't have to pay visa fees. When applying, we just had to click I'm a Commonwealth scholar. This is simply because Commonwealth Scholarship is a UK government scholarship, so it doesn't make any sense for the government to be paying themselves. So I guess they just waived that. Then we had to pay for the TB test, but we're reimbursed when we got to the UK. So all you have to do was keep the receipt, and when we resumed, we tendered the receipt and got the money back. And then the flight was booked for us. So this is why I talked about admin. So essentially they emailed us and asked us. So that was after we finished the visa process. Once we had our visa, we reached out to the admin. So that's the person from the school that had already reached out to us and be like, when would you like to travel? They just sent us an email to ask when you are interested in traveling. What I did was had a look at when obviously school is resuming. So I wanted to resume a couple of days before school resumed. So I sent them a date, and then they booked the flight, the nearest flight, or the nearest, I guess it was nearest affordable flight to the date I had selected, and also the airport, because you can live in Nigeria, you can live from Abuja or Lagos. Those are the two major international airports. So those were the major things. Then obviously personally you want to maybe buy stuff. So for me, I prepared a number of food stuff. This is also based on advice we got from past scholars and people they were there, told us, come with this, come with that, come with this, come with that. So all those things that were advised to come with. Obviously we did shopping for that. I had to borrow money as a broke person that I was to settle the whole thing. Yeah. So I mean, thank God I didn't have to pay for the flight. So immediately those are the kind of running around things that I had to do. I had to travel to Abuja, travel back, travel front. It was fun because like you're doing all these things with joy because you know that there's an end goal. It was stressful. It was very stressful because I think we got all the whole thing because to be able to start the visa application, the school has to give you one particular number. So I think I probably got that number in like June, July, and then I just had like maybe July, August, September to apply in my case. So I knew it was like hard, fast-paced type thing, And then so yeah, those are the things. At least for the UK specifically. For any other country, you have to research. You have to find people who have done it before, and then you know exactly what to do.
Thank you. Before I ask the next question, I just wanted to ask for the TB test. Is it like, let's say, accredited hospitals or like specific hospitals you have to go to, or you can just go to any hospital?
Yes. No, yeah. So for the TB test, there's specific, not hospitals, but specific centers for doing the TB test. So based on where you are, I think Lagos, Abuja, maybe some other places. But and I did mine in Abuja, and there were a lot of people. The queue was unbelievable. The queue for both the TB test and the visa, and there was the hustle to get appointment date for visa. Because in the UK, you don't do a visa interview. You just go for biometrics, but you have to go in person. You have to be. Your picture will be taken on your thumbprint as well. I know in the US you have to interview. So to get a slot for the visa biometrics, it was not a small thing. Even the TB, I remember the TB, I had to help a colleague. So when I got a date, when I went for my own, I had to talk to one of the staff there and be like, please, I have a colleague that is trying to find a date but has not been able to find a date. So I remember the person went on the computer and asked me for her details and then now gave her a slot. Otherwise, the lady had refresh. I could not find the slot. But I'm saying, Nigeria. That's the last time I suffered that much. I remember going for the visa interview and standing under the sun because I said every time visa appointment, because the whole visa biometric capturing is handled by third-party agency. So in a proper Nigerian fashion, there were a lot of people that had appointments, people that didn't have appointments. Everybody was just standing outside. My God, it was a long day of standing in the sun.
Yeah. There was a time I used to walk around that side. So most times when I'm going to work, I was like, what kind of stress is this? And some people, when I was going to work, when I was coming back from work, I'll still see them. They'll be like, this stress.
Exactly. It's very stressful.
But is what it
exactly. You know that there's a goal. So we bear the stress. It was very different when I had to do a visa interview in the UK. Very different. Like I just walked in and walked out. Very scanty. Because the whole thing was timed. And it's the same way in Nigeria. You actually book a time slot. But by the time you get there, even the people that their time slot was before your own, they are still there. Because I uploaded my documents before. You used to ask you to upload documents. They will give you the list of documents you're supposed to upload. So I uploaded it before getting there, which is cheaper because if you get to those places I want to upload documents, they will charge you to upload documents. And then when I finished, and then they checked my documents were there, then we did my biometrics and I left. Under like 5 minutes, I'd finished the whole thing. That was in the UK. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, I spent an hour. If I can give any advice, is that you do it. You select slot for early in the morning. I think that was the mistake I did. I was choosing
that's
12,
the difference between watching.
I would just come there and walk in and do it. So that's to pick 8 o'clock so that before 12 you'll have finished.
Nice. Thank you very much for that advice.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So to the next question, I was going to ask about the flights, but you did mention that for you, this university had it sorted. So now the next question is accommodation.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's something I did not even touch about that. Obviously, if you're thinking about visa, flights, there's accommodation. Obviously, like you're thinking about. There are a lot of things you want to consider. Not a lot. There's a number of things you want to consider, right? Depending on where. For most times, there's always the option of staying in school accommodation. It's almost guaranteed actually because they prioritize international students. So as long as you apply before the deadline and are international students, you are most likely to get a slot. But a number of times people don't go for that because they tend to be more expensive than private accommodation. So people try to look for private accommodation. That's accommodation that is not managed by the school. But the risk involved in getting private accommodation is that it's easy to be scammed. A number of people have been scammed. A usual thing like that happens because here normally because obviously you want to see the place. So there are different ways you can be scammed.
Yeah.
First of all, sometimes people are scammed in that they pay money for for property that does not exist. So when they now arrive and they go to the address, maybe one, the address is not real, or two, they go to the place, people are already living there. So that means they paid people that were not the owner of the property. That's one scam. Two, you may actually pay for an existing property, but when you reach there, what you paid for is not what you get. What I ordered versus what I got. Incidents can happen. So you could get a place where the heating is not properly insulated, because insulation is very important here because it's quite cold. So you don't want a place where heat is just escaping, and so it will be very cold. Or some places will be very old. I've actually seen places, man, quite surprising places that exist. So that can happen. School accommodation, that rarely happens. And when it happens, it will be sorted quickly for you. But if you go private, you want to obviously see the place and make sure that you are dealing with a trustworthy agent. So even if you're not able to be there in person, if you have connections already that can go and view for you, that's one thing. For instance, in the UK, can use the UK as an instance, there's a register of landlords or agents. You can check to be sure that you're dealing with a trustworthy person, or at least you can be able to report to the appropriate source, because there's a way they will scam you that you will not even be able to report because you don't have the proper details to report. But at least if somebody calls their name, if they're able to send you ID card, you go and check, verify that they're on the landlord's register, all those type of things, so that if things go sideways, you're able to say, okay, I know at least I was dealing with an actual person for an actual address that existed, and then you can start sorting things out from there. So that's the thing. Accommodation for me, I was quite lucky. I didn't get school accommodation. I got private accommodation through a recognized institution. So it wasn't a school, but it was the accommodation I stayed in. It was a very old, established accommodation already. It was a place for international students. It was still like a hostel sort of. But I stayed there because I got some scholarship, so a partial scholarship from them that subsidized rent for me. So it was cheaper than staying in my school hostel. Like for me, because of the scholarship, it was cheaper. Even though it was originally more expensive than my school hostel, with the subsidization, it became cheaper than my school hostel, and it was in a good location. It had everything I wanted, so I stayed there. So when it comes to accommodation, those are the things to bear in mind. Another thing is, because there's this thing, obviously it happens in Nigeria as well. Places close to bubbling sites tend to be more expensive than outskirts. Universities tend to be bubbling sites. So accommodation super close university would most likely be more expensive than those that are slightly further from this campus. But it would be wisdom to check that your transport fare does not now make it more expensive. And maybe I'm saying this because of London, because my university was in London. You could stay in central London, which is where most universities are, but central London is super expensive. And you could stay in the outskirts of London, but you have to commute. But then obviously you have to pay money for commute. That's even minus the time, because that's another thing you have to factor in. At that stage of your life, time is money. If you are able to utilize the train, maybe if you're able to read on the train or whatever, that's fine. But again, you want to be sure that you're not wasting too much time traveling, so that you wake up 4 a.m. in the morning or whatever. That rarely happens anyway. But you just don't want to live too far because you're looking for cheap accommodation. So you have to balance the cost of accommodation, transportation, and the time involved for all those things. For me, I lived very close to school. I lived 15-30 minutes because I was studying at 2 universities, right? So I lived 15 minutes from one university, 30 minutes from the other. That's by walking, not by bus. I could walk. I usually walked. I did not pay for transport at all because my accommodation was already a bit expensive. But I saved money on transport because I was walking to school.
Thank you very much for that advice. I'm sure it's something that a lot of scholars will put into a house far from school to save money. But if you calculate it, the transport will even still eat more than the money you would have used to rent an apartment close to school. So thank you very much for that. So the next question is, are there things or something you wish you had maybe taken from Nigeria when you were traveling, or something that you did carry that is not necessary at all?
That's a very good question. So for me, as I said, I went based on advice, right? People advised me, so I took things based on advice. But funny enough, I went food stuff. Food stuff is important. I think it's just different. You will never really know. I think that's what I would first say. You never really know what you will or won't know. So I went with food stuff. I know I can't say people should not go with food stuff. People should go with food stuff. But man, 1 year I did not cook soup. so why did I even bring the soup? I didn't cook any egusi or any whatever, no cuckoo. So and obviously those things are heavy. You take small quantity and it weighs quite substantially, right? And then I took dry fish, I took dry vegetable, I took spices. Obviously it's a good idea to come with them so that at least you're not really thinking about buying things in the first instance, and obviously they're cheaper in Nigeria. But all those things, I can't remember the last time if I go to Nigeria, when I visit Nigeria, I still come with certain things, right? But not as much as when I was coming, all the things I wanted to bring. Even clothes. I remember from my winter jacket, I think I was still talking about it with somebody. The winter jacket I got from Nigeria. I was like, oh, this thing is thick, heavy. It's going to protect me from the cold. When I got here, the winter jackets are actually light. They are super light and they are more efficient and protective from the cold than the heavy one I bought from Nigeria. So advice, just come with one, because you probably will need something before you actually go and get a proper one. And I actually came with one. I think I got the advice come with one. If I'd come with two, but I've just come with heavy load, I would not have been able to use. What else? Okay, I came with jeans, because they say come with jeans. Jeans is expensive. Yeah, I wore those jeans for a very long time. I didn't buy jeans for a long time. So that was good advice. What else? You don't need books. You don't need to come with books. Come and buy books here because books are heavy. Let me see. Was there something I came with that I regretted? So as I told you, it was just food and that was just me, right? I cooked you, like I was cooking stew, like I was eating rice and I would make vegetable sauce. I just did not make egusi or bono or okra. I did not go that far. It was just, if I don't cook stew, I cook vegetable soup, which was fine. I would just buy fresh vegetable and make it. Those were my go-to that time because I just wanted to be fast. So it all depends. Some people cooked a lot, so they use I've used all those food stuff now. It's a long time ago. After my masters, I cooked more, so I used them. But during my masters, I was just facing my book and eating and cooking simple things. So again, as I said, I won't say don't bring food, but for me, it was other people just like, why did I even bring all these things here?
That's fair. Okay, let's talk about your arrival to the UK. So how was it stepping your feet in a new country? And I believe that was the first time you traveled outside Nigeria.
It was the first time I left the country. I hadn't even been to Ghana. So
how was your first impression?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it's something for me. Okay, so the caveat is I arrived during COVID, not peak COVID. So I arrived in 2021, at the end of 2021. So we're still doing all this partial lockdown that will be like, come today, don't come tomorrow, come this partial lockdown that we're doing. So like that was when we're coming out of the COVID lockdown, I'll put it that way. But because I had to quarantine even when I got to the UK. So my first impression was my school had sent me an Uber voucher that allowed me to order an Uber to a quarantine location because my school started quarantine for me because I couldn't quarantine within my private accommodation. So when I arrived, I ordered my Uber and I was just going, and I'm like, in my mind, it didn't look too different, to be very honest. It didn't look too different because where I went to was more countryside, was more rural because I went to the veterinary campus, the vet school, and the vet school is usually it's like vet schools in Nigeria as well. They tend to be close to the bush, I guess, because there are animals involved. The vet campus tends to keep animals. And so I went to the vet campus, which was outside of London. The campus I attended was actually inside of London. As a master's student, I didn't attend the vet school. I was outside London, but I quarantined there. So when the car picked me, I was just passing bush at the side of the road, or grasses. It was green at the side of the road, which is very Nigeria-ish. But then the roads were good. I was traveling on express road. It was one messy, slick Benz that came to pick me. But when I got to the hostel as well, it wasn't too big. I wasn't sharing with anybody. Throughout my undergrad, I had to share rooms with people. I wasn't sharing anybody. I had my room to myself. The way they did it was like flat, there were like six rooms, and there was a big kitchen. I don't know, it wasn't just a kitchen, it was a 6 rooms shared, like a living space, I would let me call it. They had like multiple kitchens, multiple cookers, big center island with chairs and table. And I'm trying to think whether there was a TV. That was the university's accommodation. That's not the place where I stayed was not like that. But yeah, that was the university accommodation. It was really cool. And I quarantined there. And like when I got to Central London, it was fine. But it didn't have this techno feel. I feel like when you see China, for instance, it feels very modern. I don't know how to describe it. And that's actually one of the things the English people are really proud of. They're proud of how their things look lived in. So a lot of they preserve their things, look heritage. This house is 100 years old. They're very happy about it. So nothing was ultra modern, flashy. There was lift here and there. Things were well maintained and stuff like that. But nothing was too futuristic for me. So it wasn't really like I came to the other side of the world. The big shock though was the weather. But when I came, the weather was still not too bad. But things started changing quite fast actually. The weather started getting worse. And also the daylight started reducing. So night started coming faster. Yeah, those are the things.
Yeah, so to the next question, how were you able to manage? I know the culture in Nigeria are kind of different, both academic, social. How were you able to manage?
So, I mean, I think I was ready for change. I was open to change. In fact, I was looking for change, which is why I came to UK, right? So, I was expecting it to happen. I would say, though, that change did not happen too quick. I would say for everybody, there's always that excitement honeymoon phase. I was very excited. Yeah. So all the new things, nothing was daunting. there was not like manage. I was enjoying it. I was happy for all the new things that were coming my way, all the things I was unfamiliar with. And the beauty of it is that there's also a very rich multicultural experience, I would say, in London. London particularly, which is where I started. I don't think it's the same all across the UK, but in London, it didn't feel like I was a stranger or a newcomer per se. Because in London, almost a lot of people, there's no monopoly on culture per se. London's a multicultural city. Let's put it like that, some really. So there were a lot of black people, a lot of white people, a lot of people from different cultures. In fact, I didn't really meet a lot of English people, which is quite interesting. Even though I was in England and London is the capital, I didn't meet a lot of them. I met people from all across the world. I was meeting people from a new country almost every day. Even on my program, we didn't have a lot of English people. So everybody was kind of like new. We're all new together, enjoying this new experience. So it really, really helped. So, so what can I say? So it was just because, again, 1 year is a short time. Before you will say, oh, let me acclimatize. And obviously, there's the coursework. The coursework started. It was very intense. So you're juggling all the new things you're learning. I think for me, I liked my subject. So that also helped as well, because I was like, oh, wow. So all this I was learning was wowing, and I was enjoying learning them. And then obviously, there was the experience of ordinary living. I was meeting new people, trying new food, everything. That was also wow. So it wasn't too bad. I think the major, as I said previously, is the weather. The weather was something to get used to, because it started becoming cold. It started becoming very cold. It started becoming very dark. Those things were not things I was used to. So I had to be used to working in the cold and dark. So I think that was the most unpleasant experience, actually. That was the most unpleasant thing in the whole experience. But most other things were fine.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Ojay, for sharing your experience, advice, and tips with us. So to the next question, what was your biggest cultural shock when you moved abroad?
Cultural shock. I mean, the British have a British way of doing things, right? That's a cultural shock. So Nigeria is a more direct system. We are very direct. That's one. Two, Nigeria is also quite chaotic. And the funny thing is that London is probably the most chaotic place in the UK, and I went to London. But even in that, there was still order. British people like queuing, for instance. It's common in Nigeria to jump the queue. But in Britain, you queue. Even how to walk on the road. I think in London, you always walk on the left side or the right hand side? You have to always walk on one side of the road. Not just, when you are driving, you drive on one side of the road. In Nigeria, we drive on the right hand. Even walking, you walk on one side of the road. In London, the buses were on time. Like what I could see was just efficiency, which is something that I was not used to. Sadly not used to efficiency. And obviously, like, that's why I stayed. I was just saying things that, this is 100 years old, this is a 200-year-old thing. There was this preservation and love for culture and old things that I didn't really get. In Nigeria, we like new things, we like flashy things, we like the latest style, the latest. British people are not like that. They preserve their stuff. And they maintain properly. Renovation was a normal thing. Like, there were always roadworks, always maintenance going on, proper communication. Again, as I said,
every government with their own style.
Exactly, it was just a lot of order and efficiency, which I loved. For me, it made my life easier. I thrived on it. So that was a good culture shock. Bad culture shock is that British food is meh. British food is meh. It's tasteless, for lack of a better word. So when I was coming, I was like, I'm going to try British cuisine. When the rating came, and I was like, what is this? So British food was not nice. So I stuck to my Nigerian food, because Nigerian food is food for the body and for the soul.
Seriously. I agree 100%.
And then academic wise as well, it was different. I wasn't writing exams anymore. I wasn't expected to just regurgitate facts. I was writing essay. I was expected to think critically. And then obviously, I think, one of that Nigeria is in terms of culture shock is coming from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, in the sense that there was always a lot of provision. But a lot of times in the UK, they don't offer. In Nigeria, for instance, if there's an opportunity, there's a distance, you see people shouting about it. But here in the UK, everything was just subtle. They'll just state it plainly. An opportunity is there, or there's a fund, there's money. Nobody's loud about it. Nobody's talking about, things just existed. There were just opportunities. In fact, and I know it didn't just happen to me. It happened to a lot of scholars as well. Like, we just came and we're just thrown into opportunities, left, right, center, everywhere, seminar. Or there's this fund to buy laptop, fund to travel to this place. There were just too many things to do at a given time. It's like, okay, well, at that point, we had to learn how to start saying no to things. That's one aspect of the abundance culture. And that's why the abundance Nigerian's culture is the fact that
Yeah.
there was a lot of room. We had a lot of grace. So there's a deadline for an essay. If you cannot meet it, you write and ask for an extension. A lot of times, a lot of schools gives you like, can get up to 7 days extension, no questions asked. They will even ask you why you need the extension. If you know you cannot meet the deadline, just before the deadline, just come and tell them, I can't meet the deadline. They will give you extension. That's one. That's just one. As I said, it was just a lot coming to a place where you had to, in Nigeria, a lot of times, like, you get a lot of no. What is it that you want to ask? If you ask, you are more likely to get a yes rather than a no.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, because as a Nigerian, we're conditioned to, people are not going to give us a personalized experience. People are going to tell us no. So we don't ask. Even up till now, I still have incidences that surprise me in terms of abundance. And I've been here for 4 years, but there are still things that happen. And I'm like, I can't believe I got that. Again, I'm not asking for stupid things.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, like, nobody thinks of individual. Like, you have to fit in with the class. Some people will even be sick, miss tests, and lecturers refuse to give them the test again. It's a common experience, right? That kind of thing cannot happen here. Once you communicate, people would personalize the experience. So that was a good culture shock as well. So yeah, I've talked about a few things.
Thank you very much for that. So the next question, what advice do you have for our listeners that just got their acceptance letter and those that are still waiting for theirs?
I'll start with those who are still waiting. Don't give up. And I can tell you, I think I'm qualified to tell you not to give up. I've shared part of my own story, which is for every stage, especially I at least had one application cycle where were just rejections, and even rejections in the second application cycle before I got my final yes. So don't give up. All you need is 1 yes. You're 1 year away from getting what you want. So don't give up. Don't stop improving. Don't stop chasing your dreams. It would happen. That's my word of advice to anybody waiting. For those who have gotten it, start by saying congratulations, you've made it. But again, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of preparation ahead of you. There's a lot of change ahead of you. But you're capable. You're capable. You've done the hard work. More hard work remains. But it's hard work mixed with fun, I would say. If you really got admission, you got a scholarship or whatever, you are qualified for this. Don't doubt yourself, because that's one thing that can start happening. You can start doubting yourself along the way. Whether this is for you, whether you can do it. Regardless of what comes, you can do this. That's what I want to tell you. Regardless of what comes, you can do this. Don't forget to ask questions. Don't be shy. Don't be hesitant. Ask questions. I think that's just the key to actually making it. The next stage, when you're getting into things, when you're applying, any small thing you're not clear about, just ask questions. The places you are coming to, questions are encouraged. Questions are applauded, right? So they would prefer that you ask what is seemingly a stupid question than not to ask at all. In fact, it would be worse if you did not ask and then you made a silly mistake. So please take your time, communicate, ask questions. But as I said, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be as fun as it is challenging. That's it.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Ojay, for sharing your experiences and your journey with us. I believe that this will help encourage others to pursue their dreams and just enjoy their time while they are there. I think another thing again, especially for the Commonwealth, I think you get the opportunity to like socialize with other people. So it's not just schoolwork now.
Yeah. You do. I think with every scholarship, you always get the opportunity to socialize. You always have a cohort, group of people, your class, colleagues. So as I said, it's more fun. It's equal parts fun as challenging. So that's what keeps us going. We're having fun through the hurdles.
Yep. So explore. Thank you very much, Ojay, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope this was helpful to some people. If you're thinking about it, you're excited and bubbling, it's a good time to be excited and bubbling.
I'm sure it's helpful.
And then after the excitement, you may not start wondering what next. I hope this will help you.
Yeah. Very important. So to our listeners, we hope you found this episode enlightening and helpful. Remember that scholarship opportunities like this can open doors to many experiences and the chance to make a real difference. Until next time, keep striving, stay inspired. Bye.